All right, good evening. We'll call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Wednesday, October 4th Board of Zoning Adjustment meeting. Start with a roll call.
Drew Goodner,
Here.
Frost Rollins, Amy Sorrells,
Here.
Letitia Smith,
Here.
Marty Heffron,
Here.
Mary Boyd, Will Faulkner.
Here. All right, approval of minutes. Does anyone have any comments on the minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Drew Goodner,
Yes.
Frost Rollins, Amy Sorrells,
Yes.
Letitia Smith,
Yes.
Marty Heffron.
Yes.
All right. Any persons aggrieved by any decision of the board may within 15 days after such decision appeal to the circuit court having jurisdiction according to section 908.02 of the zoning ordinance of the city of Auburn, Alabama. The board consists of 5 regular members and 2 supernumeraries. The supernumeraries participate in all discussions but only vote when necessary to assure 4 voting members and have a board consisting of 5 members when possible. All decisions are made with roll call vote, and a concurring vote of 4 members is required to approve an application for a variance. All right, we don't have any old business, so new business, and so that means, so Mary, you're voting tonight. Correct, okay. All right, we'll hear our first case.
Our only case.
Good evening, board members. For tonight's agenda, there is a request for an appeal to the plan director's non-use interpretation to sections 51104 and 51106 of the City of Auburn zoning ordinance. On September 12th, the plan director received a letter from the applicant requesting a non-use interpretation of the zoning ordinance regarding a property located at 1240 Hickory Lane. It is in the Neighborhood Conservation District, NC 18. Specifically, an interpretation was asked as to whether a home occupation permit could be issued to conduct swim lessons to school-age children in a private indoor pool located on the property. The applicant, which would operate the business under the business name Tiger Shark LLC, Tiger Shark Swim School LLC. The applicant does not own the property, but has provided a signed letter from the property owner granting approval of the business activity included in your packet. On September 13th, the plan director responded with an official interpretation, which informed the applicant that the proposed business activity would not be allowed under the zoning ordinance detailed accessory use regulations for sections 51104, which regards home occupations, and 51106 for private swimming pools and tennis courts accessory to residential use. Excerpts from the sections mentioned in the interpretation letter explaining why this activity would not be prohibited, would be prohibited, have been provided. On September 18th, the applicant submitted her letter of appeal to the official interpretation, which is the impetus for this matter coming before you. Here is a most recent site plan recorded of the property that the planning department has. This was not submitted by the applicant. This was just provided, as is our most recent record. Here is also an aerial of the property taken in 2020, which shows the off-street parking on the residence, as well as the location of the indoor pool, which we believe is the northern portion of the property. The applicant is here to answer any questions, and I'm also more than happy to answer any I can.
Thank you.
One more comment, I'm sorry. The only comment received from the public was an email from a neighbor of the residents in support of the appeal.
In support of it.
Yes.
So as written, it excludes swimming pools from being, so I guess private swim lessons would have to be, is there a reason why they don't want, is it just from oversight or?
Sourcing section in 5106, it says no swimming pool or tennis court permitted under this section shall be operated as a business or private club. And it was the planning director's interpretation that this would constitute as a business.
And if I may add to that, in this case as well, it's certainly, in the applicant is identified as such, that this is a, business enterprise that is not associated with the homeowner. There are certainly some
Correct.
provisions within the ordinance that would allow for, if a homeowner wanted to have a home occupation, they can have up to one additional person be part of that business. But in this case, there are multiple people involved with the business, none of those being necessarily the homeowner, or the property owner, I should say.
But an argument could be made, I mean, this might be oversimplification, but the pool is not being operated as a business. The business is a standalone business that is simply using the pool, correct?
So, the process of, if someone wants to have a business that does a swim school or something like that, and they go around to individual residences who happen to own that and, teach their kids how to swim, that is certainly something that can be allowable within our zoning ordinance. However, utilizing a residence as your primary place of business is not something that's allowable within the NC zoning district, and does not have a provision for it to be allowable, in this case, within the accessory uses as well.
How long has this been in the code, do you know?
Ooh, Katie might have a better answer, but I think it's been in for
At
quite
least
some time.
2000, that's at least 2000.
Does the Tiger Shark Swim School have a business license with the city?
They were pursuing a business license, and this came about, and which is why the request of the interpretation.
Has there ever been, I'm asking this already knowing the answer, but has there ever been another place to operate a business at this same pool with a business license?
Well, I believe that a home occupation was issued for this property back in 2018 for use of swim lessons. I'm not sure if it was for the
I
property
believe-
owner.
For the property.
Yeah, they've been
owner.
doing
I
swimming
believe it was a
lessons there.
separate,
It was the property.
property owner previous to the current owner, if I.
So the issue now is not that they're not the property owner, that it's a tenant
Correct.
wanting to, okay.
It is not a tenant, they don't reside there.
But if
Okay.
they did reside there, it would be fine?
No, let me step back a little bit on that. When you said tenant, I was thinking in the mind of commercial tenants, since they're essentially
Right, yeah,
using the
so-
pool space. So,
It's a non-occupant of the home that wants to
correct,
use
it's
the
a
pool.
non-occupant of the home, and it's not the property owner.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm gonna ask a same or similar clarifying question, because I seem like there are two different things here. So the code seemed very clear in stating that tennis courts and swimming pools were not allowed, but we're also focusing on the fact that it is not the homeowners that are embarking on this business, but someone who is leasing or utilizing the property. But
Correct. So there are a couple different, issues here that
Okay.
have been outlined. In addition to that, some of the parking that they identified was on street, which is not allowable.
Gotcha.
The homeowner needs to engage in part of the business as well.
But if it's, I guess, for a home, so if the homeowner was involved, you could do something with a swimming pool? Or is this just an excerpt from the code that's prohibiting it?
They could potentially, as was the case in 2018. However, again, there are some limitations on that, and, as it's written, there's
If I may.
not a whole lot of latitude on.
Could I ask what happened with the business before? Was it a neighbor issue?
They moved.
Okay, so it's the completely new owners then?
Correct.
Okay. So has anybody talked to all the neighbors? Because it looked like there's about 20 houses that would be affected by
I
like this type
believe
of
the
business.
applicant spoke with the adjoining property owners when getting their information, and she's present here to answer some of the questions as well.
The applicant's here, but not is the homeowner here as well?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
All right, well, let's hear from the applicant at this point, please. And if you'll sign in at that piece of paper and then come tell us your name. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. Thank y'all for joining us today. My name is Olivia DeBon, and today I'm joined by Sean Miller. I'm a senior at Auburn University, majoring in kinesiology, mastering in education. I've been teaching swim lessons, private swim lessons for 10 years, and that's what I got. Sean, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Sean Miller. I've never been a resident of Auburn, but I've always been involved in the city. I was on the swim team that uses the university pool, and my dad works for the university, so Auburn's like a second home for me. I've been teaching swim lessons for 6 years, 4 years independent, and I think this would be an awesome opportunity to be able to continue this during the school year.
So we stand before you today to discuss our concern with Section 511 in the City of Auburn, the zoning appeal that brings us together. First off, again, we want to express our gratitude to the members of this board for your time and dedication in ensuring that our community adheres to fair and just zoning regulations. Today before you, we have 4 concerns pertaining to Section 511, specifically 51104 and 51106. Obviously, we know the population in Auburn is rapidly increasing and there is a severe lack of year-round swim lessons. We believe that our business is crucial to the safety of the youth in the community. According to the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development, taking formal swim lessons can reduce the risk of drowning by 88%. Also, the excerpt from Section 51104, it is the purpose of this section to provide residents of the City of Auburn a wide range of opportunities in the use of their residence in profitable activities. However, the denial of our home occupation application not only deprives the owners of Tiger Shark Swim School, as well as the owner of 1240 Hickory Lane from an auxiliary revenue, but also the youth of the community from a life-saving skill. The CDC provides us information that approximately 12,000 drownings occur every year, with 1/3 of them being fatal. Farther stated in Section 51104, however, the character of the city's residence areas must also be preserved. We feel that this is not applicable to Tiger Shark Swim School, since it's not visible from the road, as well as it's tucked behind in an indoor facility. It's not an outdoor pool. Finally, we have been in communication with the homeowner about limited hours of operation as well as a parking plan. Furthermore, we met with the neighbors that are directly affected, the neighbors, the 2 across the street, and by the sides, they've been in communication. They know our plan, and we met with them on September 21st to discuss any plans that they might have or concerns with our plan. We're here today not as just individuals, but as a collective voice representing the hopes and concerns of the youth of the community. It's crucial to recognize that the zoning regulations play a pivotal role in shaping the character of our neighborhoods, influencing our quality of life, and safeguarding the values we hold dear. We want to emphasize that the appeal process is an essential component of our democratic system, allowing us to ensure that the decisions made regarding land use are fair, reasonable, and in the best interest of the entire community. We understand the decision made here today will shape the future of our community, and we trust that the board will carefully weigh all evidence, arguments, and considerations before rendering a verdict. We believe that all parties can come together for an equitable solution for Auburn City as well as Tiger Shark Swim School. I just want to thank you again for your time and commitment to the principles of fairness, transparency, and community well-being. Together, we can ensure that our community remains a place we're all proud to call home. War Eagle.
So have y'all been operating there at this time, or y'all just beginning?
We have not been operating there.
Y'all took it over from the previous, has it been operating in the last few years?
So how we came about this situation is there was an LLC filed called SwimRight at this location. We wanted to expand and team up to provide year-round swim lessons. So kind of farther when they said that there was a home occupation in 2018, we were not aware of that, and when we went to the city about it and presented that there was a swim school before, they had never had a formal place documented.
Okay.
So we
They had
want
not- They
to,
had not had a home business license, is that correct?
that's
That
what
is
I
what
was
we
told.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we were informed.
Okay.
We just thought we'd be good because there had already been
Yeah,
a swim
yeah.
school.
Yeah, they've been one there for a while.
I was gonna say, my
Yes.
child took swim lessons from
Mine did as
Leanne
well.
Wright, yep.
Yeah, from Leanne. Know her well.
As a backup plan, have you looked for any other pools that you are allowed to do this in?
Unfortunately, we have looked for other pools, but the one, for example, in the Tiger Town, there's a pool there within the hotel. And I got in contact with the hotel owner, and they had just filled that pool in. So there are really no other indoor pools that would allow us to run our own swim lessons out of them.
So Kevin, 4 swim lessons in the city of Auburn. I guess just reading, the only way you could teach them would be at the university pool or the city pool? As this is written?
No, that's not necessarily the case. You could give individual swim lessons at someone's home.
Okay, but
So-
to have an actual business, it's virtually impossible in Auburn.
So you can have a business, but that business gives swim lessons at individual homes. But as far as it being in a single location, obviously there are not a lot of private
And
indoor
would
heated
the
pools
city
out there.
grant someone the ability to teach swim lessons at their pool? Probably not.
I am not sure off the top of my head. That's
Not
probably a
what I'm
better
sure.
question for Parks and Recreation. I know, obviously, y'all know we have, there's certainly a great demand for indoor pools of all kind and certainly more public pools within the city. And we're certainly taking steps to do that with Lake Wilmore and then
Yeah.
certainly future plans up at the Boykin campus as well.
I would imagine, have you checked with HOAs of neighborhoods too? Like, I would think too, that would be an insurance issue, so I would assume that you would probably be denied from that
Grove
standpoint
Hill
too. Like Grove Hill, Moore's Mill.
Yeah,
Well,
we,
they're not indoor either, they're outdoor.
Yeah, that's, I'm like, it would also be weather dependent, you couldn't do it year
Yeah.
round, so.
And they do it at the private clubs. And people come in and teach lessons there.
yeah, I'm contracted at Auburn University, so I can teach at the Auburn University during the summer. But Sean and I have noticed that when we go back to our kids the next summer, there's a massive lack of what they learned the summer before. And just, I'm from Pennsylvania, and swim schools around there are everywhere. They're constantly always busy and running. So we just feel that there's a severe lack within Auburn. And talking to the families we've impacted, are you continuing? And I'm like, I wish I could, but there's no indoor pool.
Yeah, I can remember having to sign up, like go at 5 a.m. to sign up for swim lessons for my child at Auburn University, so
Oh, yeah.
I think this is, which is whenever I met Leanne, so.
All right, thank you. Any more questions for the applicant?
I have one. You mentioned that you had talked to the neighbors across the street, next door. Is that in writing? Do you have their support?
We did receive one letter of support from a neighbor that was sent to
Right.
the city. We do not have a copy of that. That was not sent to us directly.
Yeah, I was just concerned, not just about one. I was just trying to see, do you have support from them in writing? That was just my question.
Not in writing.
Okay.
No, it's not in writing.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will now open the public hearing if anyone would like to speak in support or against this variance. Hello,
I've already signed in.
okay.
So I'm Leah Doozy. I'm the owner of 1240 Hickory Lane. So good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I don't even know if I need my letter. I mean, I actually wrote some notes down, but I don't think I need them. I'm the sole owner of 1240 Hickory Lane. I've lived there since 2017. I bought it from the Wrights. So we have maintained the pool since then for our own private use. Birthday parties, lots of swimming. It is very cold, so because there is no sunshine that gets to it. So we have maintained the pool since then, since 2017, for the use of our family. Sean and Olivia sent me a letter in the mail. Like, they wrote me a letter. They found me, they found my address, and they wrote me a letter, which never happens. Honestly, it doesn't. So I got the letter and I sat on it for a little bit. I was like, I'm not gonna do this. This is too much hassle. I can't deal with this. And I talked to my dad about it. And Dad said, listen, they wrote you a letter. They're college kids. They took the time to find you and write you a letter. At least talk to them and hear them out. And so I did. And they impressed me from the minute I met them, because they had already thought about the problems. They had already thought about the issues. They had already worked through liability. They had already worked through scheduling. They had a plan when they walked onto my property. And if they hadn't had a plan, we wouldn't be standing here. So they had a plan. And I had two main conditions. Number one was that we talked to my neighbors and they weren't going to be angry, because they are not my neighbors. They are my friends, and they're my very good friends. So I have personally talked to all of them, except for one. She's diagonal from me. She's had some family issues. I haven't been able to talk to her. But we have personally talked to I have personally talked to Okay, not the people across the creek, because they don't really care. But the people on either side of me and the person directly in front of me. I've talked to them. 2 of them have children who would benefit from the program. My neighbors and my friends in our community would benefit because they could walk to swim lessons, because right now they're driving to Opelika. And that's really hard to get your kids to swim lessons in Opelika after work. So when I met them and I talked to them, I told them I had 2 conditions. Number 1, my neighbors, and number 2, we followed the rules of the city. And that's why they haven't filed for a business license, is because I told them until we got permit and because I'm gonna follow the rules, and that's what we're trying to do. I would have no problem being a business partner of theirs. I believe in them. I believe they're responsible and organized. If I'd have known that there was another way, we would have taken another way, right? Like, I'm confident that what they're trying to do is responsible and really for the betterment of the community. And I wouldn't be letting people that I am not related to, that I don't know, come into my property and use it if I thought that it was not going to be a responsible use of my land, because it's my home. And so I'm confident that anybody who takes from them would benefit. I would trust them with my own children to teach swimming lessons to them. And I appreciate y'all listening to their appeal. And as the homeowner, I am supportive of this, not just because it's an opportunity for me to work with them, but also because it's really an opportunity for my neighbors and my community. So thank you very much. If you have any questions for me, I will answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak in support of or against this variance request? All right, we'll close the public hearing and open up to the board for discussion and a motion.
So why does the ordinance call out tennis courts and pools only? What about racquetball courts or?
So it's interesting you mentioned that, because we actually have a ordinance amendment going through right now that calls out athletic courts as opposed to just tennis courts. Obviously, we've seen
Right.
pickleball, racquetball, all this other sort of stuff become very popular. So that change will actually be made here probably in the next couple weeks, just to strike out tennis and say athletic courts. So I think that kind of speaks to your point a little bit.
I guess my real question is, why are those identified as not allowed to have a business associated with those facilities versus my living room?
I mean, I think, kind of for this reason that, we're here tonight, and, if I had a tennis court in my side yard and I had some tennis pro come into my house and teaching lessons, for a while, parking in the street and that sort of thing, to address that concern.
So so what you're saying, so if you had an indoor tennis court that made no noise, and you had enough parking on your property where people would drive in like they're coming to see you, and they would never park on the street, then it wouldn't be an issue?
We'd certainly, hypothetically, I understand what you're saying, but we'd
Yeah.
certainly have to go through all the details and make sure that they hit all of these. But, there is a provision in here that allows for, the homeowner to do some things, but it does not necessarily allow for an outside entity to do some things as this is written.
But if the homeowner was involved with this, it still is prohibited?
So there's a limitation in this. It is the homeowner and then maximum of one person not related to the homeowner that can be involved with the business.
Not
Obviously,
residing in the dwelling.
Obviously, in this case.
But
it'd
if
be
you
multiple.
had
Yeah, if she,
Leah and Olivia as partners, this would be permitted?
Under that one, it may be permitted. However, there are a number of other items here, such as five.
Right, and that's what
10,
that's what
11.
I'm
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
is that it doesn't matter.
It would still be in front of us, even if Lee was a part.
Yes.
Right,
That's
right.
Yes.
And so just to kind of clarify, like, it's black and white, you can't do this. And so we're here at the adjustments asking for some gray area, but you can't do it per the law.
That has been my interpretation of the ordinance, yes.
I agree with what you just summarized. I mean, it's not just one item, there are multiple things, and so even if you work through one issue, I think in this case, there are at least 3 different things that, would keep us from having to have a variance in multiple areas just to meet the needs of, and I'm sorry, young lady, I feel bad for you, and applaud you and I applaud what you're trying to do, but our job here is to interpret the law and see if a variance makes sense. And unfortunately, in my opinion, and we would take a vote, there are too many different things here that would preclude us from making a positive decision, at least for my vote.
Yeah, I mean, I
feel like the only one that is
hate
gonna
this, 'cause
work
you're
I mean,
a
is the
just
square
how life
footage.
we have impacted. Charlotte taught 2 kids how to swim after their oldest child drowned. I taught a boy with a prosthetic leg, as well as rods in his back, how to safely get across the pool. The amount of children that the 2 of us have taught to save their life, I mean, it's a serious need. The parents, our schedule is full in the summer, begging to get in because they don't want their child to drown. There's drownings in Auburn. There's been a drowning at Moore's Mill that I know of that a parent has reached out to me about. It's a serious crisis within Auburn, and the city, the limitation that they give as far as Opelika only runs certain times. In Auburn, we have looked at it, the university club, or not the university, the actual university pool only runs for a few months. And we are willing to answer any questions. As far as the parking goes, we've laid it out. We've laid it out within we just want to come to an agreement together for the safety of our community. The water season here is so long, and the amount of water that is available to children is scary. It's scary to me. Like I said, I'm from Pennsylvania. We don't have that much water up there, but my swim lessons have filled up there. It is a life-saving skill, and I don't know if any of you have children, but swimming is just, to me, as important as walking. You need to know how to do it, because it's less than a minute, and they're dead. And that is a scary thought, as wanting to be a parent one day, that my child can die, and I can improve it by 88% if I get them formal swim lessons. So we're here trying to give the community formal swim lessons, and I understand the rule, and I understand it's a pool, but it's an indoor pool. So I just hope that in your heart you can find some gray area and find the safety for the community.
I agree with you. I just think we're at the wrong place. Like, I think the law needs to be changed, and we can't do that here. But
This is a very hard case, and I think most of us are parents. Drowning terrifies me for my children. They both took swim lessons at Swim Right.
Which was never filed. As
Yeah.
far as our knowledge, was never filed to legally be through the city. I'm trying to do it the right way. I'm trying to do it the fair way. We could run illegally. It's not fair. It's not fair to the community to run illegally. So it's really upsetting that I know everybody that I talk to, oh, I took Swim Right. Oh, I took Swim Right. Well, she was not legal in the city. So I just want to point that out.
Yeah, and I think they are able to meet. I see there's a lot of highlighted things, but it seems like most of it is met, and then we get down to,
Can we do, Drew, a temporary variance while the city's trying to figure this stuff out? Like, what if you adopted her and then you only have one guy? You know what I mean? To make it work. I mean, I get the rules and all this stuff, but it's obviously something that's just super positive for the
Yeah.
for the community.
And I
all my
think-
kids swam in a lady's house in our neighborhood in Seattle.
yeah, I
Everybody-
think to me, if we're gonna find gray area, which I always seem to go into, is, it says no swimming pool shall be operated as a business, and it's like,
Pool itself is not.
the pool is not, they're not selling things. It's a service that they are teaching, and it's a much needed service. I've known two friends of my mother, children that drowned, and it's awful. It's a horrible thing. And I think that's our gray area to latch on to, is that
That's kind of what
the
I.
swimming pool is not the business. They're utilizing it.
Because if you train dogs in your front yard, that's allowed.
Yeah, there's a lot of odd things that are allowed. And it's like you said, they kind of single these things out, and then it's like if you
I think if Miss Doozy was selling memberships to her pool, to her neighbors for $25 to come and swim
Right.
at any time, that is the pool operating as a
Correct.
business.
Right.
Yeah.
And this,
Right.
this was brought to us from them attempting to follow the rules. It was not neighbor, I assumed when I got it, it was neighbor complaints.
Correct.
And she's been there a while. I know Swim Right operated there.
Because they won't be using the pool during the cold months.
I
It
mean,
wouldn't be year round.
Emmy's children.
My children are
Emmy's only
23,
35,
yeah.
but her kids.
My kids are 23,
Took
21,
there.
and they took lessons there, so it's been a while.
I think,
If the business operated out of a separate address and they just use the pool, would that be allowable?
It
No,
does
that-
operate, it operates out of
That,
615.
that would not be allowable, because this pool would be the place of business.
I think that's the gray area that the committee's trying to find, is that the place of business is the physical address, and the pool is a tool of the business.
Correct.
If I'm understanding.
And there is no, okay, so just going through the detailed accessory use. So if we were to look at one, is the square footage within that regulation of the pool being, the area being used?
Yes, I believe the square footage is within the, within the.
Within the parameters?
Within that, yes.
Okay.
That was primarily highlighted by us for that first sentence there, stating that the, home occupation must clearly be secondary and incidental to
Okay.
the use.
So it doesn't meet that. There's no signage, correct? No signage. And then, are there company cars or commercial cars?
No.
A maximum of one person. That could probably be addressed in their LLC. Correct. With the exception of homestay. So off-street parking seems to be the hurdle too that we have to meet with, but I think you said you had the plan where, because it does appear that there's a lot of parking
There's a
space
big
on this
driveway.
The
property.
driveway looks really long.
It's, yeah, it's been, I think
Is it feasible to like cut down your class sizes to alleviate any on-street parking concerns? Although I find it laughable that the city of Auburn is worried about on-street parking. If you drive through Moore's Mill,
Yeah.
there's about 8,000 cars on the street in Moore's Mill, so,
Well, and Hickory Lane's extra wide.
it's a very wide street.
And it looks like there's 2 parking pads on this
Yes.
property.
We can easily fit 8 cars in our driveway, and I still get out of my driveway.
Do y'all do group lessons, or is it all private?
It's group.
Okay, it'd be group lessons,
Yes,
okay.
and
Would you ever have
vibration,
more than
glare,
8
odors being.
participants in the group?
No.
So all the cars would fit in the driveway,
Yes, sir.
so to speak?
Yes, sir.
I think we've all talked. I will make a motion to approve the appeal to the planning director's non-use interpretation to sections 511.04 and 511.06 for case BZ 2023008.
Oh, second.
Drew Goodner,
Yes?
Emmy Sorrells,
Yes.
Letitia Smith,
No.
Marty Heffron,
Yes.
I think, is Mary voting? Is it-
Yes, Mary's
Yeah.
voting as well.
Okay.
Mary Boyd,
No.
It does require a 4-1 vote to pass, so that your appeal did not pass, so I'm sorry.
What's the next step?
You can discuss with staff after our meeting. As we read earlier, you can appeal to the circuit court. I think your best steps would be to talk to staff. What we have had before are some cases where they've looked at revising the zoning ordinance. I'm not saying that they would do that or that it's easy at all, but that's next steps. Kevin could probably comment on that a little bit better.
Yeah, we can certainly have some follow-up discussions on that and see if there's any other avenues to resolving the issue.
right, thank you. Do we have any other business?
Only other business I have is, you all may have seen, the city has hired a new
saw
planning
that,
director.
yes.
Justice Wahid Cotton.
When does he start? In a couple weeks?
Yes, the 16th,
Okay.
so just under 2 weeks now. So I've had the opportunity to meet him. He's a great guy, really sharp. Will be a great addition to the city, so we're really looking forward to having him join us.
I do not have any communication, any staff communication? All right, we are adjourned.